Welcome to another episode of Math on the Rocks. This time we are changing scenery. You could tell that we are changing scenery. Where are we, Cole?
Wow, you almost called me Kyle.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at Kyle. Kyle, give us an okay. There's an okay. There it is. All right, Cole.
We're coming to you from Dallas, Texas tonight, and it's a special edition of Math on the Rocks, After Hours.
After Hours.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks in Dallas, and we have a guest. Who's our guest?
Hi, y'all. I'm Arynn Rasmussen. I'm from Region 10 Educational Service Center here in, technically, we are in Capel right now, and my office is in Richardson, but here from Dallas, Texas.
That's right. Now, you said some secret words. You said education, what?
Educational Service Center, ESC.
All right. For those people who are not from Texas, that is basically kind of like a service region serving the learning institutions inside that boundary. In California, we operate at the county level. Texas does regions.
Correct. There are 20 of them in the state of Texas.
All right. So we have 58 counties. You have 20 service
ESCs.
regions.
Correct.
Got it. We just had dinner. And a couple of drinks. So, why are we here?
So we are here for some work with Learning Forward, talking about and learning about curriculum-based learning. And so getting to do some California and Texas collaboration, learn a bit about what each other does and how can we take those back to our own systems and try to do some improvement work on our own and then see where that goes.
So speaking of systems, okay, so we are at the county level, we do this county stuff. And what's your specific role at your ESC?
So my title is I'm a program coordinator over the instructional practices part of our service area under teaching and learning. So lots and lots of different levels. But I am a program coordinator. I have a team of 8 consultants who are masterful in their contents: ELAR, math, science, STEM, social studies.
Holy moly. What's ELAR?
English language arts and reading.
All right. That was my guess, but I wasn't sure.
RLA.
Yeah.
But so ironically, in the state of Texas, my team specifically does not support the Spanish standards that we have. And so my team specifically is the ELAR team, not the RLA team, because they do not support the Spanish standards, which are different, right? Like, it's not just translating the English stuff into Spanish. There are some specific ways to teach the Spanish language. And so my team is a little bit different in that way.
Yeah.
Sure.
So similar to like our dual immersion programs that are in California, for sure.
Yeah. I am surprised at how much translation we have to do even between two states. Yes. It's like, oh, you're the ESC, okay, that's our county. You're this, oh, that's our that. And it's like remarkably convoluted given that we're all in one country. But really, secretly, we are, California and Texas are 2 completely separate countries.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's our A block. B block, we have some business, so forgive us, Arynn.
Please.
A couple of seconds. What's going on with the symposium?
Oh gosh, man, we are over 500 people registered now.
No way,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, we're getting there.
Oh, that's cool.
And which you're like 500, but that's a big deal for us in the Central Valley. You know, we used to be a conference or symposium of only about 100 people.
Oh, wow.
And in the last 3 years, we've gone from roughly 100 to we'll probably hit 650 by the time we get to next weekend.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so we're excited about that. We have some wonderful keynotes and pre-symposium speakers, including Joe Bowler and Pam Harris joining us as keynotes. And then Ma Bernadette, state president, will be there. Christina Lincoln Moore, the Secretary of the State.
Yep.
And we cannot forget about Yolande Beckles, who's going to start and just light the stage on fire during the pre-symposium. So if you are joining us, just be ready. Like, don't think you have a warm-up audition. Right. Yolande is going to bring the fire in the first hour, so just be prepared for yourself.
Literally, she's going to light the stage on fire?
She will probably light the stage on fire. If you've never heard Yolande talk, you should go listen to Yolande talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you'll feel inspired in a couple minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, no. And if you when you go and watch some of our old episodes, you can actually watch Yolande ripping the heart straight out of Kyle Atkin.
So true. Speaking of fire, I was going to say she kind of lit him on fire.
Oh.
Yeah. She took her role very, very seriously.
Okay.
Yeah.
We did this whole like play a skeptic, and Kyle bravely raised his hand to play a skeptic to something she said. There was no more skeptic.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, she ripped him one, man. It was awesome. Editing that episode, I felt really bad for Kyle. It was good.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the B block. Lots going on with CMC. Super proud of it. Do we have any other news?
Well, and then just remember, soon we'll be releasing the name of our March webinar series.
Yeah.
As well as the last week of March, we have our partnership with ST Math and Mind Math, and we'll be doing our Math Week, Central Valley Math Week.
Yep.
So we got a lot coming up in the Central Valley, and some surprises in our P2 world that we'll be releasing here in a few weeks.
No, I'm gonna say it now. We are going to do a P2 symposium conference one day, and then our first one, save the date, August 2nd, 2005. It's going to be North Central Valley. It's either going to be Stanislaus or Merced. We're still hoping on Stanislaus. We're twisting some arms, but August 2nd, if you are preschool to grade 2, you are a math teacher. Whether you feel like it, you are or not, you are a math teacher. And we have a symposium conference. What are we going to call it? We're going to call it a symposium or a conference. Can we call it a conference?
Sure.
Okay, we're going to have a conference specifically.
How about a colloquium?
Ooh.
Go way out there.
A colloquium. Wait.
I don't know what that word is, but that's something that we've done before.
It sounds like a body part. Okay.
Or an institute.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm just throwing other names out there.
It's something. We
hate
need
for
something,
people to
man.
get confused.
Yeah.
Because you did say something about going back in time, and is that something y'all can do in California? You went back to 2005? Or is this in 2025?
Oh, did I say 2005?
You did. That was very impressive.
2020.
Just wanted to clarify.
Way to call him out, Arynn. I missed that, but
I just thought it was something special y'all did in California. You could go back in time.
I did not know I did that.
Okay.
So
I just want to clarify for those poor little teachers that they know that they're not going backwards in time, that they can stay. Some of them probably weren't even born in
This is true.
2005.
This is true.
So.
Now, Arynn, you do know I have the power of post-production.
No!
I won't wield that power because it takes too much time. Really? I'm just like, okay, good enough. Everything's recorded. We're good. Goodness gracious. So C block. So we've spent some time. Now let's aim for, I don't know how many minutes. Let's aim for, 15 minutes. Let's aim for 15 minutes. So we're in Dallas, and we're hanging out with our new friend Arynn. We got some planes flying overhead. We're in beautiful Dallas. Why? What's going on here? Why are we here?
It's a great question. I'm still looking for the answer to. However, Learning Forward has brought us together to form a network to help us to learn about curriculum-based professional learning.
Curriculum-based professional learning, CBPL, is what people out here, they just go, CBPL.
Because we are all about the acronyms in the state of Texas.
Word.
We have acronyms for everything.
Yeah.
We don't have HQIM, we have HKIM.
Yeah,
There are lots of things, but we will alphabetize anything. Like when I moved to Texas, originally an Iowa educator, I had to get a glossary of acronyms to make sure that I knew what everything stood for, because it's a different language between California and Texas, 100% in the acronym world.
Getting a job at the county level in California is an exercise in acronyms, and it's a big deal.
It's like a pre-assessment almost.
Yeah.
And it depends on what department, I'm sure, in your office.
Oh, for sure.
There's probably multiple acronyms that mean different things.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, so let's talk about, I just want to honestly unpack this idea of curriculum-based professional learning for, about 10 minutes now. My thought is my core premise is a lot of the professional learning, professional development, whatever the word is, sucks. And it's largely because it's viewed as a one and done. We'll often get calls from super important people like superintendents or assistant supes who will say, come on in, we have a Monday staff development day. Essentially, they won't use these words, but they'll say, I need you to babysit my teachers. I have 6 hours I need to cover. And we need you to essentially fix the sins of the world in those 6 hours. And so even when the professional learning is good, it's completely ineffective because 6 hours is not enough to change the world. That's when CBPL comes in. What's your take on this so far, Cole?
So I'm kind of reflecting in our systems and things that we've been doing, and there's a lot of relationship. I'd say a lot of overlap to things that we've been trying to do. But I think that there is some interesting language and perspective that I kind of gained today about letting the curriculum really be the center of the learning. Right, where I feel like we've been doing a lot of ongoing support and really focused more so on the development of teacher and teacher knowledge, but not necessarily in parallel or embedded in their curriculum journey.
Sure.
Right, and so I think that my takeaway today is that we really need to make sure the things that we're doing are great, but the impact could potentially be greater if their curriculum is the driver in kind of connection to some of those changes.
Yeah. Arynn, do you have thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'll echo that a little bit to say, as I shared earlier, the consultants that I have the pleasure of leading are content experts. Mm-hmm. And so they are experts at helping teachers who maybe are not as fluent in the content to increase their content knowledge. But then they, jump into, what's the best way to teach kids to write an essay? And so there were lots of connections for me of really immersing, is that the word? Getting the teachers to actually do the work that the students would do. And so we do a lot of modeling. In fact, our team has a goal to raise teacher efficacy through modeling, right? And so that was some good connections for me on that. However, the piece that we are struggling with, especially here in the state of Texas, is really digging into those materials. We have state materials, we have open education resources that we can get into, and my team really tries to stay agnostic in the material world because we have thousands of students that we serve, over 850,000 of them to be exact, in lots of different areas, and so how do we time and money wise really individualize those when today I might be in Dallas and tomorrow I might be in Duncanville and the next day I might be in Howe, which is almost Oklahoma, right? So our area of schools from big metropolitan area to rural, we're the size of New Hampshire, right? But our schools vary from, this Dallas ISD, the fourth largest, second, some largest in the nation, to little itty bitty SNS who maybe only has 100 students K-12.
Right.
So, go ahead. I'm just curious because, I think about the challenges in our area, and we have 46, regular public schools plus some charters, so about 52 LEAs, and I would say we probably have 10 different curriculums that exist in our system. So it's a lot for me to think about. We have to be experts in all of those curriculums to go embed that. But in your area, how many curriculums might you find across your service region? Mm-hmm. And then how do you think about going about to be able to embed yourselves in all of those existing ecosystems? Because I'm grappling with that in my area, especially with the new adoption coming.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's a great question. And so to address your first question, the number of different curriculums we have, probably the number of different LEAs. Right. Again, speaking of new adoption, we have a new adoption coming right now with a lot of funding and things tied to it. And so that might help to create its own ecosystem because they will be using the state-adopted curriculum or materials, right? A lot of people, it depends on who you ask. I'm sure you are in the same way. If I could ask one teacher or one curriculum director and say, hey, tell us about your curriculum, and they're going to go, well, we use HMH, and this is, well, that's a publisher, that's a material. What do you use, right? So they use those
Yes.
in the same term, right? And so many different, but I am anxious to really look at the work, and that's really why I think we are here, is to really think about what is the ecosystem that we could create with Bluebonnet, our new state curriculum, and then how do we continue to support those other districts who are not adopting to create a different ecosystem, and how do we support that, knowing that we can't support all of the different curriculums that are out there.
So I was talking to one of your colleagues tonight at dinner, and he was telling me a little bit about Bluebonnet, and it's an open source K5, K8.
So for ELAR, for English Language Arts, it is K6.
Okay.
And now you're testing me on a very tired brain.
Right.
So K6 for ELAR. For math, it is K through Algebra 1.
Okay.
However, a lot of districts are a little hesitant, especially to go into that secondary math, because it stops at Algebra 1.
Right,
There's not an Algebra 2 of geometry. They want to keep that vertical alignment going.
Absolutely.
But the math world is a little more developed at this point. They will pilot the SLAR, the Spanish Language Arts, next year, but that's definitely on a pilot.
So as I was talking at dinner, I found it really interesting that like this open source curriculum, it is not exactly Common Core, but there are a lot of parallels and alignment. We were talking through some of the difference, and we want to make, we each drive our stakes in the ground and say how different we are, and we wave our flags, and we're so proud that Texas and California are so opposite, but really we're not. I mean, on show we are, right? And so I just think that as districts are out there, I mean, like even some California districts who are looking for some materials right now, especially in the in-between, like there might be some value in Bluebonnet or in resources like that, right? Because I kind of I see that in my mind. Obviously, I haven't done a deep dive, but I can open up resources who are out there, and they're free and they're available and they're nationally aligned in a lot of ways. But things for us to be considering as we're kind of getting into that process of looking for good, high quality materials to use in our classrooms.
So connecting that high quality materials to CBPL, right? I think pre-CBPL, I think about this upon reflection, is we were doing a lot of training, workshops and coaching on math adjacent behaviors. Number talks, or building thinking classrooms, or math language routines, and these were math adjacent behaviors. So as a result, they often felt like an add-on to the existing curriculum that the teachers were supposed to be using, which meant they were always a tough sell. Because it was seen as an add-on to their curriculum. With curriculum-based professional learning, we can still talk about number talks. We can still talk about building thinking classrooms, but it's done inside the curriculum that they were going to have to use anyway. And I think my hope, as I'm here learning and thinking critically about this in Dallas, is continuing to do the work with continuing the work that we would have been doing, number talks, BTC, math language routines, all that sort of junk, but doing it inside the context of the teacher's curriculum, which is where they live. They have to live there because they have 50 minutes to occupy kids tomorrow with curriculum, and since that's where they're going to be, let's design our entire training around that reality. And then it's suddenly easier, I guess, for us to put in number talks. Oh, that's the beginning of your lesson, and building thinking classrooms. This is where your instruction occurs. And it's all wrapped up and integrated, as opposed to feeling like an add-on to an already overcrowded plate.
I want to add on to that just a little bit too. It was an aha that, we very fortunately, the three of us got to work together today, in lots of different ways too. But one thing that y'all spoke a lot about was your job embedded. And that was one thing that we talked about, right? Also was how it is job embedded. And that is something that we do a little bit of, but you were saying like, we are literally in the classrooms with the students and doing that. And we would love to do that, but that isn't always, the opportunities that we get. And so lots of times the teachers come to us, right? The workshops come to us. Well, we don't have any students in our classroom, and that is where our goal of, providing that modeling for the teachers to really have that experience, to build that efficacy really comes into play. However, I think the model that y'all have of like really going into that true job embedded, like it is happening with the kids in the classroom, that's powerful. So kudos to y'all for making that happen.
Well, that's one of the, when you're in a sanitary kind of sterile environment of a workshop in a fancy building, it's always allowed for the teacher to say, that won't work with my kids. That won't work with my kids. And in a traditional workshop, the best I can say is, yes, it will. Yes, it will. And so when we're doing job embedded on site, it's always handy when a teacher goes, no, I don't, that will not work. We have the ability to say, well, let's go into your classroom right now and let's find out why you're saying it won't work so that we could then come back and problem solve. Well, 9 times out of 10, we go into the classroom and holy crap, it works. And that's not the teacher's fault. It's just they didn't have an idea, like it just was bigger than what they were thinking about, and it's just they never imagined it. It's like asking, I don't know, a fish to imagine what it must feel like to be on top of Mount Everest. It's a different world, and so let's show them in their classroom with their children what this stuff looks like. Yeah.
And I think that they say it won't work for 2 reasons. One, because it's the delivery of whatever it is, whether it be inquiry-based versus maybe I do, we do, you do typical approach that they were accustomed to. Maybe the design of the delivery is different. But oftentimes it's even the grade level lesson that's in the curriculum. They're saying there's no way my student has access or can get to this point. So I've got to scaffold, and then eventually not even be talking about the grade level standard anymore because I feel like I have to go all the way down here, as opposed to my goal is really for them to be engaged in this standard aligned, grade level aligned lesson, and then be thinking about the questioning tactics and things like that. What does the delivery need to change so they have access to that? But I feel like we get stuck in there's no way they can do, so I've got to lower the expectation.
Yes.
As opposed to what teacher moves might I deploy, which I feel like is a lot what we're talking about here is what do I deploy so that kids can get to that standard level?
Which you can't do in a traditional workshop. You got to do it at CBPL. Can I propose something? Because I hear the internet reaches Dallas.
Sometimes.
Can I, and this is sincere, can I propose that we do another one of these in a week or 2-3 weeks down the road? And I don't know, just continue thinking about this. And things will ferment between now and then. And let's have a follow-up when we...
That'd be awesome.
Can we do this?
Absolutely.
I can email you, and this is the international symbol for email. Okay, I'll email you, and we'll do some sort of Zoomy thing, and let's do a follow-up on our podcast.
Love it.
This is good. Anything for the good of the order?
No, we just hope to see you all next week at the symposium. I said a week, and Duane realizes all the tasks I gave him 2 weeks ago. He's like, oh gosh, my deadline's coming. Yeah.
I got to do that. Now I'm intense. Anything for the good of the order, Arynn?
No, just thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this.
I'm glad you did, man. This is fun. This is fun. All right, thank you.
All right, till next time.